Hey Laowinners, it's Laowinners here, another video, and Vivi and I are walking the streets of China. Kinda. Now, China, as I mentioned in another video, there are two of them really, the Republic of China and the People's Republic of China. What's the correct one is up to you, it doesn't really matter. But what does matter is that there's this thing going kind of viral in Chinese and Taiwanese social media. And this dude from Taiwan, like many Taiwanese people, like even that taxi driver we're talking to, have this idea that going to China, you won't have a better life, but you can definitely make a ton of money, right? There's a lot of opportunities there, right? So this guy, whether he made money or not, I'm not sure, but he went through and made like 8 reasons as to why he really appreciated going back to Taiwan because of these things that were so much better. I kind of wanted to discuss this because I've lived in both countries and I kind of want to see if I agree with him. Now the first one was utility prices, right? I thought this was kind of weird, but in Taiwan, it is cheaper to run gas and electricity. And I was thinking about that. We used to pay a lot of money for electricity in our apartment in Huizhou. How much we used to pay in the summer, like on a bad month?
3,000.
So that's like
4,000.
5 or 6.
2 months. That is 2,000.
$500 or $600 for a couple months, or per month in a really bad time, to run air conditioners and electricity and stuff. In Taiwan, my electricity bill was about $80. Next one is trash. Now, apparently in Shanghai and like the big cities in China, well, apparently we know this, you can just take the trash and just throw it in the trash bin. You don't sort it, right? So the trash people come by, they can sort it later on. Whether they do or not is speculative, but you can just throw all your garbage in one place, basically. Whereas in Taiwan, I remember this, you have to spend a lot of time sorting each and everything, right? Plastic goes here, metal goes here, paper trash goes here, biodegradable stuff goes here. And I remember when I came from China to go live in Taiwan, it was super embarrassing because my neighbors like pulled me aside and they're like, listen, you need to like sort that out because like, you're gonna get a fine, or you're gonna get in trouble and blah, blah. And they talked about how it was really important for the environment. When's the last time you heard someone in China complain about the environment, right? Doesn't happen, does it? So in that respect, I thought it was like really annoying in Taiwan because it takes so much time, but it's probably better in the long run. Yeah. Now number 3 is weird. It's a pro and a con. This is good and bad. So food. Food in mainland China is not only cheap, but it's likely to cause sickness and diarrhea, this guy said, right? So even, you know, Taiwanese people that went to mainland China, they get sick from the food there. But it's cheap and it's delicious, right? So that's kind of a pro and con. Big con about Taiwan is there's not a whole lot of mealtime culture, right? So you're walking around Taiwan, you're like, I'd love to have a more sit-down formal meal with my friends. You can do it, but in a lot of these places, it's much more about snack culture, night market culture, things like that. I found a lot of the Chinese food in Taiwan to be inferior, like much worse than the food in China. If I was going out for a sit-down meal, right? Yeah. So in that respect, it's better in mainland China for food. Depends on your perspective though. Like if you want Western food or you want like convenience, Taiwan's definitely better, right? So it just depends on what you're into.
The next one I want to add is the actual size of China. I have to give a clear winner to China because one of the things that I noticed when I was in Taiwan was I had explored the entire country in months, just a few months. I didn't have a whole lot of time when I was working there because the work hours were quite a bit higher in Taiwan compared to China. But just in general, the idea that you can finish the entire island and pretty much explore the entire thing. I'm not talking about every nitty-gritty alleyway and tiny little town, but in general, you can, cover the entire country very quickly. Versus in China, it feels like there's almost a limitless amount of things that you can see and do. So if you find the time, the absolute scope of China makes it a very huge and amazing country to actually explore. So clear winner to China on that one.
So the next one this guy brought up, I gotta agree with him here. Taxis in Taiwan are so much better. They're polite, they'll pretty much always stop for you. They won't try to rip you off. They're not always laying on their horn, right? It's just, I don't know, it's a more pleasant experience. In China, there's a lot of times where they won't pull over because either they couldn't be bothered, or maybe they think they can't talk to you as a foreigner or something. And they'll be on their horn. Some taxi drivers in China will complain if you put on your seatbelt. They're like, oh no, you don't need a seatbelt in my car. No, not in my ar, right? A lot of times they'll smoke cigarettes when they're driving. And it can be a really terrifying experience. So in that respect, I gotta give it to Taiwan for sure. Next has to do with the MTRs and like the MRTs, I guess they call them here. Basically in the big cities in China, like Beijing, Shanghai, Shenzhen, Guangzhou, you gotta go through freaking like airport security to get on them, which is, I guess, a good safety measure. But they scan everything and they go through your stuff now, and it's really annoying. Whereas in Taipei, I've noticed that on every local transport, we've been on high-speed rail, buses, everything, there's no security checks.
It
right?
wasn't like that until...
It wasn't.
Like,
it didn't used to be like that. Right. Yeah, so don't think that it's always been like that. It's a new thing. But it's super annoying, you know? And it makes you feel like what the hell is what's going wrong here? What's gonna happen here? You know what I mean? The next one is a massive advantage for mainland China, and that is payment systems. Because it's a centralized government place, you can use your phone to pay for everything, right? Unfortunately, that means the government has all of your data, right? It's kind of a trade-off. It depends on what you care about more, convenience or privacy. But in Taiwan, I'm having a hard time finding places that not only accept my credit card, but definitely don't accept online payments. More of a cash-based society.
Yeah.
So that's kind of been annoying.
You know what, as a Chinese, like, because you guys keep talking about privacy and stuff, I don't know, at some point, like, if you want to talk about convenience and talk about like all this, I just kind of don't mind. Government just take my data.
Right, and that's the perspective of a lot of people, is when you don't grow up with privacy and things like that, then you're less apt to care, right?
Yeah.
The next one I wanted to address is the actual working culture of China versus Taiwan. I think I can speak on behalf of a lot of foreigners that went to do ESL or teaching in general, but also just work culture for the majority of people. I'll say this, in Taiwan, you will work a lot more. The hours are much, much higher, and for a foreigner teaching, the pay is typically lower. I'm not talking about your average, EF job that you find in mainland China. I'm talking about the potential of how much money you can make in mainland China versus Taiwan. You can make a lot more money in China. That being said, job stability in China can be wishy-washy. Your work does not necessarily provide you the rights and job security that you'd get in a place like Taiwan. Your visa could be canceled. There could be all kinds of issues that pop up in China, but the absolute ability to go and do private lessons or private tutoring and all this kind of side work means that you can make a lot of money in mainland China. I'm gonna give a pretty clear winner to mainland China for work hours and potential salary.
The next one is something this is probably one of the most damning things about mainland China, unfortunately, and that's medical care. If you thought the situation for medical care in America was bad because of how much people end up having to pay, then you're gonna be blown away, because in the big cities, if you end up wanting something that resembles Western treatment or Western level treatment for a problem that you have medically, you're gonna pay a ton of money, number one, and number two, the doctors are not as qualified as most other countries around the world. So Chinese medicine is rampant, and oftentimes you won't get the treatment that you need. Whereas in Taiwan, it's socialized healthcare, one of the best healthcare systems in the world. I got treated for everything here when I lived here with my ARC, and it was so convenient and so awesome and so fantastic. The doctors all spoke English, and I got real medicine that took care of my issues. So the last one is schools. This is another touchy thing. In China, you have to interview to go to a school, to go to a better school, right? You have to pay more money. There is public schools that are free, but if you want your kid to have a better education, then you have to shell that out. There's a lot of bull involved. That apparently doesn't happen here in Taiwan. And just
Even in Hong Kong.
Right. Just education in general, societal education. People that live in Taiwan tend to be more worldly, care about the environment, more polite, everything, just the day-to-day occurrences. Mm-hmm. And that's one of the awesome things about mainland China, is actually like, it feels foreign, it feels very exotic, right? It's a different place that you have to get used to, and it's not a bad thing, it's just a different thing, right? So yeah, there's a lot of pros and cons on his list. A lot of people were pissed off, but also kind of agreed with the dude. And I think I agree with him for the most part. What do you think?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's good. Mm-hmm. Nice job. I want to say thank you so much, Laowinners, and if you want to see more, go to patreon.com/Laowi6. There's a lot of stuff I can't talk about sometimes, so I post daily there. And if you liked the video, give it a like, subscribe if you haven't if you're new to the channel, and thank you so much, Laowinners. I'll catch you
on the next one.
Don't forget, guys, every single Wednesday at 1 p.m. EST, you can watch a Laowi6 video. Click down here to watch another one of those. Top right-hand corner of the screen, you could actually see an ADVChina video, which comes out every single Monday at 1 p.m. And on the bottom of the screen, the bottom right of the screen, you can watch a Serpents at A video every single Friday at 1 p.m. EST. Thanks.